Library. This is Chris. How can I help you?
Hi, yes. I need to make a report, a complaint. Perhaps a manager I could talk to.
Yeah, can you give me a little information so I make sure I get you to the right person?
Sure. Basically, last night around 5:45, I happened to have been um, catching up with an old friend. We were in the scanning area. I was scanning a whole bunch of legal documents, and
Uh-huh.
my friend was using some profane language, which we never got to get from you guys the actual definitions of the profane. We asked for a list when you guys had told us that we need to stop using those words. But
Uh-huh.
More concerning, though, was that I was told that I had been warned twice previously by employees not to use that language. And
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even using that language in the first place, at least to the point of being heard. I went over
Right.
my audio. See, basically, I've been wrongfully accused so many times in my life, at least over the last 2.5 years, that I end up having to record everything. And so I happen to have been recording roughly the last 4 hours of my life. At that point, I had a lot of other things I had gone to, like the courthouse, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went over the audio, and there was only two places that I had used what would could potentially be considered foul language, but they were kind of under my breath. And so
Right.
um, when the manager came out, when I had requested one of the I think it was Matt, the library computer lab employee, I asked for him to go get a list of foul language that we're not allowed to use,
Right.
void for vagueness if it's not there. He came back with the manager. I never caught her name, but she was very adamant that I had been warned twice previously, and she flat out accused me of violating their policies, and that she almost demanded that I acknowledge that I um, uh, stop violating them, or that she'll kick me out. And
Right.
so
Okay.
I tried to clarify this
So,
with her, and ended up later on informing her that I had recorded the whole event. She said, "Well, we have security cam footage to counter that." And
right.
I tried to explain that briefly to her, that I don't know if that's going to stand. And as I was talking with her, she abruptly ended the conversation, and I said, "Thanks for ending the conversation," so forth. And the security guard framed me for causing a disruption and escorted me out. So I don't believe I violated any policies, and I believe I've
Okay.
been framed, and I need to make a complaint against these employees for a civil discrimination lawsuit.
Okay. So, let me put you in touch with the manager of the Old Town Library.
Yep, this is
I
Old
think
Town.
that's Okay, so I
Yep.
think that's the best place to start. And if I could put you on hold for just a moment, I will get you connected, okay?
Sure thing, no worries. Thank you.
What is your name?
Name is William Montgomery. And so, if you
All
want,
right.
for your own benefit, we've caught, I don't know, two, three, four, 5 dozen of these cases. Most of them are police encounters. A lot of them
Mm-hmm.
are also like King Super's lobbies. We're being accused of staying there overnight, things like that. Basically, an abundant amount of homeless discrimination. And so we ended up just making YouTube playlists for people until we can get to our civil suits
Oh,
and also criminal suits. So if you wanted to look this up, we made this is the fastest, quickest one we've gotten yet. I uploaded it last night. It's under the name, if you Google or YouTube, framed for violating library policies, then unlawfully escorted out for not yelling. Basically, it's under the YouTube channel Guilty Until Proven Innocent. So this is not the first time this has happened. It's getting really old, and we're really
okay.
deeply concerned about this. So we figured anybody and everybody should know about these things. It's really bad.
Right.
So
Okay. So let me get you connected with the manager over there. And if I could put you on hold for just a moment, please.
sure thing, no worries. Thank you.
Thanks.
Excuse me.
We appreciate your patience. A customer service representative will be with you shortly. You are listening to local, community-based music, just one of the many things that makes Fort Collins a great place to live. Hello, this is Eileen. I'm the manager of the Old Town Library. How can I help you?
Yes, hi there. I need to report a very serious complaint. It's a civil rights issue, discrimination based. Are you the right person to talk to?
The manager of the library.
Just to clarify, are you possibly the skinny lady that was wearing a red shirt last night that I had the interaction with?
Nope.
Okay, good.
I'm well aware of the incident, though. I have the documentation from it, so let's talk.
Fantastic. Okay, so first and foremost, my brother and I have caught too much of this in the last 2.5 years that we ended up starting to record things. And so we happen to have been recording for the last 4 hours prior to that event. I have a whole bunch of other recordings from like the courthouse, phone conversations with my dad, and I happened to actually be talking to the security guard outside when I was eating lunch. And so basically, when I got in there, I was scanning a couple documents, and I happened to have a friend there that I was catching up with, and we were talking not too loud, but when the Matt, the employee there, came up to us, we thought he was concerned about the volume, but he said he was more concerned about the language that we were using, and I really wasn't using much foul language. I went over my audio, and there's only 2 places in the audio. At minute marker 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 20 seconds, I said something under my breath to myself, and then at 1 minute, 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 50-second marker, I happened to have said something that to him, but it was still kind of under my breath. It was a whisper, because I was just the way I was talking. I really wasn't really using foul language myself, and so the gentleman that I was hanging out with or catching up with, he was using the foul language, and so when Matt came up and told us not to use these words, all I did was request a list of the words not to use. It's kind of void for vagueness sort of thing, due process. And he came back with a manager, and that manager specifically told me that 2 prior people have told me not to use that language before in the library. I presume maybe that day or something like that. And I tried to explain to her, yeah, I don't really know what you guys are talking about. And then she basically tried to frame me that I was causing a disturbance when I was basically attempting to clarify falsified information. And so eventually she kind of cornered me in the sense of, not cornered me physically, but basically told me, are you going to comply, or am I going to have to ask for you to leave and have the cops remove you if you don't? And I tried to tell her, my silence here or my cooperation, does that not imply that I'm complying? And if not, basically, if you want to write me up on a policy, go right ahead so that I could have the due process to fight it. And so after that, we just kind of continued doing our thing. I went up later on to Matt, and I explained to him. I showed him my phone that had been recording for the last 2 hours, just that particular audio recording, and he explained to me that he still thought that I was cussing, and that the audio will prove it. And I tried to tell him, I'm not even sure if I said anything. But I don't appreciate being falsified. And he was pretty adamant that there was a previous employee there that had said something to me. And so let me clarify. I've only been in that library once, and I went in at about 5 o'clock to start scanning things. And I have the proof of the audio of my previous encounter with that actual security guard outside when I was eating lunch, the Subway I had just purchased. And so later, a couple minutes after that, at 6 o'clock, or sorry, yeah, 6 o'clock, on my way out, I happen to have caught her, the manager again. This
Not a
time,
manager, she's a librarian. She's
or
the person in charge on that shift.
sorry, yeah, shift manager, whatever you want to call him. I explained to her, I said, hey, I don't appreciate having information falsified against me. I happen to be recording here. And she said, well, we have security camera footage. And so I was like, okay, well, if you guys need this audio as proof in case yours doesn't show it, I can attest that no one has ever come up to me prior. There's no formal warnings that have been given. I feel like I've been profiled, basically. And she decided to say, don't talk to me about this. And I said, sure, yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm going to your manager. And I told her, I don't appreciate you ending the conversation so abruptly when all it is just words being exchanged. And I wasn't using any loud, voluminous language, but on my way out, as I was turning around to leave, as I said to her, I don't appreciate you ending the conversation so abruptly. The security guard was right there, and they immediately said, okay, that's it, you're out of here. And the security guard framed me at that point for causing a disruption and said that I was yelling. And I tried to explain to her, while under that slightly slower tone of voice, I was actually about a 4 as opposed to like a normal 6 or something. I was actually pretty quiet in general because I didn't want to disturb anybody as I was talking to them. And so for me to be framed for yelling now, we've gotten this before where people try and falsify information to trump up that an excuse to remove us. And so I happened to be leaving to catch a bus at the time. But if I had stayed, I would have been removed for falsified information from a security guard at that point. And all of this is stemming from people assuming and not doing their homework and defaming and discriminating and profiling. And so my brother and I are absolutely sick of it. And so we happen to be really good at this now. And so we ended up uploading it all last night. And so it's on YouTube right now, just like everything else. And it's basically, this time a really bad civil discrimination lawsuit pending. But if you want to look it up, it's my YouTube channel is Guilty Until Proven Innocent. And the channel itself, or the playlist for this particular occasion, is dated 2017, 11/13, framed for violating library policies, then unlawfully escorted out for not yelling. So I'm really sorry that you have to put up with this. I really hope that you can go through that audio yourself and compare it to what their reports are to see if they've falsified even more information, because people have a tendency of doing that to cover up themselves being subject to a civil discrimination lawsuit, trying to get out of it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So the audio is uninterrupted for 2 hours. I saved it all. The previous encounters are uninterrupted, time-stamped, all the way dating back to, I think it was like 12:57 p.m. So I had been recording since 1 o'clock that day. So the 2 employees that they said that I had been previously warned by, I don't know where they're getting that information. She said she confirmed with one of those employees. So I don't know if she pointed and maybe that employee saw that other gentleman that I was hanging out with and said that they had warned him. But I got framed for his behavior. That is so totally unacceptable. I don't even know. I'm speechless at this point. So that's why, nip it in the bud.
What exactly are you asking me for? Like, what's the information that you're looking for from me at this point?
I'm making a report so that you have the full story on your side, so that you can make an accurate judgment and reprimand these people for violating policies, falsifying information, and framing people. And so I don't believe I violate any policies. You can go over the audio yourself. And for someone to accuse me of violating policies and physically escort me out and under the duress of a trespassing charge, I think these people need to be reprimanded. That's all. So you have the information, you can go with it, or you cannot, But the whole point is if these people continue to have not even so much as something on their end of policy violation written down that they have to deal with. If you don't consider
and you do
them,
have a copy of our, excuse me, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Sure.
I'm sorry, you're talking, Alexa, so I just want to, I have to jump in at some point, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you are aware of our behavior rules as well as our behavior policy. Have you read it through thoroughly?
Oh, yeah.
Do you need me to send you a copy of that?
Yeah, no, they gave me a copy of it.
Perfect. Okay, well, no, you probably got a copy of the behavior rules, but then there's also the behavior policy, which is on our website. Would you like me to send you a link to that?
I can just go online to the website.
Go
much
for
know
it.
the gist of
So
it.
I'll take a look. I'll see if I can find that YouTube video. And I appreciate you calling, and I appreciate the information. Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.